Welcome back to another episode of CHRISTalk. I am Minister EA, and I am here this evening with my sister Tonyua Thompson, who is a mental health advocate. And we're going to talk about mental health on tonight with May being Mental Health Month, Mental Health Awareness Month. We want to just honor that and delve into this topic that can be sometimes taboo, especially in the church. How are you doing this evening, Tanya?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, can you tell us what exactly is a mental health advocate?
A mental health advocate is someone who has experience in helping others who have a mental health illness or needs help with mental health. So maybe they need someone to support them through the process. They don't have family, they don't have friends. It's something as simple as making an appointment, knowing what they have as far as resources when they come to insurance, or even a sliding scale. So we kind of support them through the process so that they don't feel like they're all alone.
I love it. I love it. What inspired you to become a mental health advocate and coach, particularly focusing on workplace trauma?
Yes. So for me, it was my own personal experience. And so life appeared to be going great. I was in ministry, my own business, working, and life happened. And when it happened, I wasn't prepared for it. And so when I went through my own personal experience, I had to find out how to heal. So typically, your doctor will write a medical note to take you off work. Your job will honor it. But it's like, what do I do with the time? How do I heal? And what am I healing from? And so when I went through that experience, I wanted to give others what I didn't have, and that was support.
I love it. Just on a personal note, I dealt with depression at one point, and the guilt that came along with it, and not knowing what to do and how to handle it, until I realized that this was a spiritual battle as well. Then things started to turn around, but all the while it was very cumbersome. And though I had good insurance, I didn't have any resources outside of what was medical. I didn't have anything that would. I didn't have an advocate like yourself. So thank you for the service that you provided.
Thank you.
All right, can you share your experience? What are some common misconceptions about mental health in our community?
So for our community, we've been told one thing is what happens in the house stays in the house.
Amen.
We've also been told as little kids that words don't hurt.
Okay.
And then we've been told to be strong
Okay.
and to endure it. And so for a lot of us, we believe that mental health and mental health illness is a sign of weakness.
Right.
And it's not, right? It's life happening too fast, too soon, too quick for us to process it. And it's us actually like suppressing things, not dealing with it,
Right.
feeling like I have time, I'll get to it later, or I need to take care of everyone else and I don't have time to take care of me. And so we see this a lot in our community. And in the church, what we typically see is people over spiritualizing it and not dealing with it at all.
Okay.
Or they think that it is a demon,
Okay.
right? A spirit and not a mental health. So there's a lot of misconception about it. And so one of the things I do is bring awareness and education around what it is and what it's not.
Okay. Yes. What it is and what it's not. I think that's very important. I think that a lot of times, once we can identify the matter,
Yes.
it makes it a lot easier to address, right?
Yes.
Because I think sometimes we walk around in denial. Sometimes we walk around in shame.
Yes.
And that only impedes our progress, because if we're in denial or if we are walking around with that shame, we're afraid to go to anyone and say, I need help. However, if there is somebody who is offering the help, we just might take it. We just might take it.
And one of the things that I realize is oftentimes we have these predefined definition of what it is. So my symptoms may not look like Minister John Doe. So I believe that I don't have it. It may not match the definition in the Webster Dictionary. So I believe that I don't have it. People at one point thought the depression was not being able to get out of bed, not combing your hair, not getting dressed. And it's so much deeper than that. So a lot of times, because it doesn't look like what we believe it should look like, we're in denial about what it is.
Right. Because sometimes we can be functioning in our depression,
Yes.
right? Right. So, like when I went through mine, there were days when I just did not get out of bed. But then there were other days where it's like, okay, I need to get up and I need to do some things. However, I was still depressed. I was still dealing with the issues, and also the guilt that came along with having the issues, right? So there were it's that is even on a scale, because on a sliding scale or on the spectrum, because some days I am deep in it and other days I'm functioning in it, right? Okay. Thank you. How can individuals recognize signs of mental health struggles in themselves or their family, and what steps can they take to seek help?
So one of the things that you probably would notice is like whatever's going on in your outer is typically a reflection of what's going on the inside. So noticing that maybe your room is not as organized, maybe your car is not as organized, maybe you're sleeping more, not sleeping at all, eating more, not eating at all. You may be like really irritated, frustrated, short temper. Other things is that you may feel like everyone is attacking you. And then you have to be careful of like what you're eating and what you're feeding. So typically when people are depressed, they do eat a lot, but they typically also crave a lot of sugar.
Okay.
So you kind of want to know your body and know like if this is going on, it's an indicator that something is not right. So before it gets all the way out of control, let me take control of this situation.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Now, depression is one component of mental health, right? But melancholy or just having moments of sadness, is that necessarily going to be depression? I'm not asking you to diagnose per
Right.
se, but what I am asking is sometimes is the reason sometimes we don't get the help is because we allow other people to then diminish
Right.
whatever we've got going on.
Yes. So typically we will have moments where we're sad, we're depressed. Someone dies, we lose our job, our car gets repoed. That's normal. It could go on for a couple of weeks. It's when it's long term, or you find yourself going deeper and deeper and you're beginning to isolate yourself. So you don't want to be around family. You don't want to be around friends. You don't want to get out the bed. You don't want to leave the house, right? And so you're secluding yourself and you're going inward. And now you're finding it difficult to be able to socialize or to come out of this place that you're finding yourself.
Okay, thank you. You emphasize the importance of listening to one's body and slowing down. Could you elaborate on how people can develop this awareness and why it's crucial for mental well-being?
So one of the things I often tell myself and my clients is, what do you do when you're in an abusive relationship and the abuser is you? And the reason why I say that is people who are, going after goals or trying to accomplish things in life, they go hard, they hustle, no sleep, and they brag about it. And it's like, once I complete this project, I'm going to rest. And the moment it's over, you reward yourself, right? And then you go right back at it. But that's what an abuser do. They abuse you, and then there's the flowers.
Right.
So what's the difference in me abusing myself, not eating, not sleeping, and then buying myself a pair of shoes, and then saying I'm never going to do it again, only to do it again? And so when you slow down, listen to your body and what it needs. When it's tired, let it get rest. And then eat at a certain time. Oftentimes we work, and then we just wait till the end of the day, and then we're eating, but we're eating carbs and sugar because we've went so long. But what happens is, how are you making healthy decisions with no food in your body, right? And then you realize that I was tired, but I was high off sugar. I made that emotionally high off of sugar. Had I had a healthy meal, had I had what I needed in my body, I wouldn't have made that decision. And so it's important to slow down and listen to your body.
Thank you for that. Well, as you were talking, I thought about how my wife, she'll give me pieces of fruit to take to work. And she's just like, just eat them throughout the day.
Yes.
And I know she does it because she cares, right? But sometimes I'm just like, oh, if I eat that right now, that means I'm not doing something. But I thank you for reminding me that I do need to fuel myself so that I can be clear, so
Yes.
that I can be aware, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah, that makes a lot of
And
sense.
then even on another level, when you look at people who are successful,
Mhm.
they eat at a certain time every single day. It's on a schedule. They never go without a meal. They never beat themselves up physically, mentally, or emotionally because they know what it takes to run a successful business or to be in a successful relationship or marriage. You have to take care
So,
of yourself.
so systems, schedules,
Yes.
and consistency.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I love it. Many individuals face challenges in redefining their new normal after experiencing trauma or mental health difficulties. What advice do you have for them in this journey?
To embrace it and to accept it. One of the things that have been really difficult with the pandemic is people redefining what our new norm looks like. And so, a lot of times when you're going through depression or anxiety, what you say is, I can't wait till I get back to normal. I can't wait till I get back to myself. And what you were going through was never normal, right? It became normal to you because you did it. But when you slow down, there's nothing normal about not getting sleep. There's
Right.
nothing normal about missing meals. There's nothing normal about working these long hours. And so to redefine it is to say, based off where I am, this is what I need to do to remain healthy. Because think about it. If we lose weight and we go back to eating the same food, we stop exercising, it's only a matter of time before we regain it. So if you're
Right.
talking about mental health and being healthy, if you go back to the same lifestyle that you had prior, it's only a matter of time before you have another episode.
Right. You are so right. So, how does one's spiritual lifestyle impact their mental health?
So it impacts, I think a lot of times we're looking for people outside of us to accept us, to love us, and to become the living definition that they're providing us, and we
Hmm.
lose ourselves. Also, we go through things in life, and though we can do things to become better and to heal to a certain level, sometimes it's deeper than what we can actually do, and we need to partner with God. We need to pray. We need His wisdom. We need His knowledge. And then we need to be able to be in a place where we feel safe, where we can open up, and for God to reveal to us what we need in this season. And when we've experienced trauma, there's a period where you have to go through your forgiveness,
Okay.
forgiving yourself.
Mhm.
Sometimes you may need to forgive God and then to forgive others. And with that, you're definitely going to need a relationship with God to walk you through the process.
All right. The Bible says in James 2 and 6, this is the easy to read version.
Okay.
A person's body that does not have a spirit is dead. It is the same with faith. Faith that does nothing is dead. And we know that always to be faith without works is dead.
Yes.
And I think when we talk about our mental health, um, and if we don't do the work,
Yes.
right? It's the same thing. We can't do, we can't function or we can't move how we're supposed to because while prayer is very important,
Very.
we have to do our part.
Yes.
So while we believe that God is going to heal us, we also have to help in that healing process. That faith without works is dead, but once we put the work in, then there's life to be seen, life to be had.
Yeah. And think about it. When we talk about faith without works is dead, you can't even do the work if you don't believe.
Mm.
Right? You're not going to go to the gym if you don't believe you're going to lose weight.
Okay.
You're not going to go to work if you don't believe you're going to get a check, right?
Right.
You're not going to pursue someone if you don't believe that they're interested in you, right?
Hmm.
So if you don't believe that you can get better, if you don't believe that there's something on the other side of this, if you don't have hope that things are going to change with medication, with prayer, with a system, then you're never going to do it because you don't believe. But you have to do the work because even when we do the work, you may not see the results immediately, right? You have to keep going. And the thing about it is, we have days, we have moments. And so you can go through this process and everything is fine. And then life happens and you have a moment. And it's just that a moment, right? Embrace the moment. What is it trying to teach me? And then move forward with it, right? You One of the things that tell people oftentimes, because people don't believe that mental illness is real. And I tell people, if you've ever been diagnosed with depression, anxiety, or any other mental illness, you have to treat it like a mental illness, which means that whatever you did to get healed, you're going to need to do to maintain your healing. And you'll have good days, and then you'll have days that's not good, but you have to know how to manage it and give yourself grace.
All right. So, with that, setting healthy boundaries
Yes.
is vital for mental health, right? How can individuals establish and maintain these boundaries?
One, you have to be honest about who you are. And then you have to know, like, when is it not safe for you? So, for instance, in church, I would tell people, if you ask me anything, give me 24 hours. Because I'm in the spirit, I feel good, everything seems possible. But let me come down off the spiritual high and revisit it, right? And so for you, if you're a person that you find it difficult to say no or to set boundaries, you may say, give me 24 hours. Let me come up with some questions on what I would need in order to make my decision, and then we can go from there. But never say yes in real time. Also protect your calendar. So you can have where I have these hours available. And so when someone says you have some time available, you can look at your calendar. You don't have to do it in real time.
I think you just helped me right
Yeah.
there.
And then when they ask you, you got a minute? I got 5 minutes, right? Halfway through, I got 2 more minutes. Is there anything you want me to do before we wrap this conversation up?
Oh, I think you really just helped
Yeah.
me right there. My wife tells me all the time, you can't say yes to everything. And I don't think that I am, but I guess I say yes more than I say no. So I think you just helped me.
And then realize that for every yes you have, there's a no you're saying to yourself. So what is this yes costing you?
Oh.
And is it worth it?
I'll say that again, 'cause I want everybody to hear that.
So on the other side of every yes, there's a no that you're saying to yourself.
Yes.
So you have to ask yourself, what is this yes costing me? And is it worth it?
Oh my, is it worth it?
Yes.
That is so big.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I love that. I've never heard that before. For every yes, you're costing yourself something.
Yeah. Yeah. To be
You're
here
changing
tonight,
lives.
right?
Right.
You had to say no to something else.
Right.
Right?
Right. Light bulb, epiphany.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. That was big. I don't know if it was big for anybody else, but it was definitely big for me. All right. So, what role does self-care play in managing mental health? And what are some practical self-care tips you recommend for busy professionals?
Okay. So self-care to me is extremely important. And the reason why it's important is because you have to slow down. You have to learn how to listen to your body, and you have to give your body what it needs to heal. If you listen, your body will tell you what it needs. Oftentimes we don't listen. We're like, shh, like it's a kid. If you think about times where you're thirsty, there's time when your body wants water, and no matter what you drink, it will not quench the thirst, right? There's other times when you may need sunlight or you may need exercise. And when you learn what it does for you and how it makes you feel, then you are aware of, I need fresh air. I need to go for a bike ride. I need to go to sleep. I need to rest. I need to pause, right? Yeah, because how can God use you if you're tired?
My goodness, how can he?
You're no good to anybody.
Right, but the Lord will give me the strength.
He like, go sit down.
Not if you don't rest. That's what he created rest for a reason, right? Because he understands that we are limited, unlike him, who is limitless. But I know I asked that for.
And let me share this
Go
part.
ahead.
So just getting sleep will help you tremendously.
Okay.
If you've ever had like a cold or a flu, the first day you're in bed, you cannot get up. The second day, you may be able to sit up. The third day is probably when you're finally taking a shower, right? When else in life do you get enough sleep where you're not getting up because your alarm clock is going off? You're not getting up because you got to go to work. You're not getting up because you feel guilty about laying in the bed. Every other time we tell our body to get up. This is the only time when we listen and our body says we've had enough. If you get enough sleep, your body will begin to heal.
It's regenerative and restorative.
Yep.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Now, I know that we were addressing those who are in the workforce. Uh, what about those who are retired or stay at home by choice or whatever the case may be? What about mental health for them? What are there any differences or to that type of regimen?
Everyone should be practicing self-care.
Mhm.
And what I tell anyone that I work with is you have to put yourself first.
Okay.
If you get up and you take care of the wife and the kids, the day will be over and then there's nothing left for you. When you take care of you, right, everything seems to fall in place. It's no different when you get up and you seek God and you're praying and you have your devotion time, things begin to fall in place. But if you get up and you start watching TV and you're checking your phone and emails, when do you get God in?
Mm.
When do you have that conversation? Right? So when you, and then you create a lifestyle, right? Where, okay, these are the days I'm gonna go to the gym. These are the days I'm gonna go walking. These are the days I'm gonna sleep in or I'm gonna do family time. You create it as a lifestyle.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Having regimented time
Yes.
established in your lifestyle.
Because once you do that, your body, your mind will begin to crave it, right?
Okay.
If you get up every morning and you pray,
Mhm.
you might could go one day.
Mhm.
By the second day, you're going to be off, right? Like,
Right.
it don't feel right. This, I don't feel comfortable. I'm irritated. I'm frustrated. I
Right.
need to go back and do it, right?
Right.
And then you realize I can't afford not to do it. I don't care what's on my schedule and how much I have to do. When you realize if I take care of me, then I can take care of all those that depend on me.
That's beautiful. I have a friend whose grandfather was military.
Okay.
So he retired, right? But he had a system. Every day after his retirement, he got up at a certain time. He read his newspaper, had his breakfast, watched the morning news. He went out and did some yard work, and then he would come in at some point and take a nap. And then there were other components to his day. But all of that, when his grandmother told me what his grandfather did, I was like, that is like amazing that he has his whole day worked out. I'm like, okay, you don't just sit there once you retire, because it's also good for your mental health to look forward to something, right?
To look forward, to engage, to have a purpose, and to have like a sense of what am I doing, right? And just to be able to take care of yourself and not let yourself go. I mean, when we feel good about ourselves, it shows, right? You can tell when someone's been in the presence of God. Their conversation is different, their attitude is different, they see things different. You can tell when somebody went to the gym, right?
Okay,
They walk,
yes.
they ain't lost a pound, but
Okay.
they walking different, they
Uh-huh.
believe something has
Chest
happened, right?
puffed out.
And so when you take care of yourself, it begins to roll over into every area of your life. Your self-esteem, your confidence, your worth, your value. Because the things that were broken, the things that were suppressed, the things that you hadn't dealt with, you've now begun to allow them to heal. You see yourself different.
See yourself different. All right. I love it. How can someone create a lifestyle that prioritizes mental health and supports their self-care efforts?
They would just have to begin to implement things that they enjoy. So when you talk about self-care, it's not just going to the gym. It's not just getting your hair and nails done. It's having things in place that you need and knowing when you need them. So there's times where I may go walking, but there's a certain place I need to go walking because I need to be in the wilderness. I need to hear the voice of God. I need to be in nature. There's other times where I may want a massage because I want to be pampered. But then there's other times where I need a Thai massage, which is more about stretching and opening me up.
Okay.
And so you just have to find out what it is. Self-care could just be, planting or gardening. It's like whatever it is that makes you feel good, that allows you to connect.
Okay. I need to schedule me a shiatsu. Okay. I need one of those. I like the intensity, and I think at the end of it, I feel a lot better and different.
But even something as small as scheduling your shower,
Okay.
right? Where if I call you and be like, Minister, Eric, you got a moment? You're like, nope, I got an appointment in 5 minutes. It's none of my business. It's with the shower.
Okay.
It's none of my business that you about to have a cup of hot tea, right? But I value myself enough that I've carved out this time, and I'm going to honor the time that I set aside for me because I'm that important. I'm that important.
Okay. I'm that important.
I'm that important.
That's something we all need to say to ourselves. I'm that important.
I'm that important.
Okay. Yeah, because if we're no good to ourselves, then we can't be any good to
Yeah.
anybody else.
And if you're at the gym and that's your mental health time, why are you on the phone with me? Why are you ministering to me? Why are you encouraging me? This is the time to be in the presence of God, for God to speak to you. This is a time for you to heal and to rest.
You dropping gems on tonight.
I mean,
Okay.
I had just had laryngitis for about a little over a week,
Okay.
and it was the best thing that could have happened to me.
Gave you some rest.
It allowed me not to have to speak. It allowed me to be very mindful of who I had a conversation with. And was a conversation worth me using my voice?
Okay.
It allowed me to spend more time with God because I couldn't talk to nobody else. And then it allowed me, I feel, to heal on a different level, because when do we rest our voice?
I feel that.
And when I say rest our voice, we're so quick to give information. And so a lot of times we say that we're great listeners, but are we? Typically we listen to give a response,
Right.
to help somebody, without listening to what are they really asking for? Did they just want to vent?
Right.
Did they just want to be heard? Did they even want advice?
Right.
Did they ask you for help?
Right. And when you say that, because what I try to tell people is, I'm not here to give you any advice. I'm just here to be an ear.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that is what people need. And while somebody might be seeking my advice, once they've vented, they might even find the solution on their own. I've gone in the workplace. I've gone to like a supervisor or somebody, an expert in whatever the question is I had. And once I talked it out with that person, they haven't said a word. And it's like, never mind, I've got the answer. Right? Same kind of thing.
That, and sometimes people don't want to take accountability. So if I give you advice, you can blame me if it don't work out.
Now I done became your scapegoat.
Or you don't want to talk to God. Or God ain't told you something, but you think I'm going to give you another answer. No, go back to God.
You don't have me being the enemy's advocate. Okay, yes, I love that. I love it. Thank you for that. What are some resources or support networks that individuals can turn to for help with mental health challenges, both inside and outside of the workplace?
So people could start with their local church.
Okay.
If you're at a job, you can also go to EAP, which is Employee Assistance Program. You could also, if you have insurance, if you don't have insurance, there's a lot of places that have a sliding scale. You could also find out with your medical benefits if you could see a therapist at your job. There's other programs like NAMI, which is National Alliance for Mental Illness. We have one in Contra Costa where they have supports. They have other things called peer-to-peer, where someone has a similar scenario and they're there to support you through your process. But there are a lot of different programs. On Facebook, you may find a private group where they have someone who is skilled. You can always go to God. There's a lot of devotion books. I would say use wisdom and knowledge. And even when like looking for a therapist, find one that has something that they can offer you. Have someone that they look like you, they sound like you. If you're someone who has been molested or raped, find someone who specializes in it, that knows what to say and how to say. There are times where you may need to see someone in regards to controlled substance, to get support with alcohol or other drugs. And typically what will happen is someone could be clean for years and then life happens. And when they go through this episode, it could trigger them and cause them to go back to the drugs. And so I always tell people, let them go to an expert who knows how to handle it. And you may have to work with someone else. So as a minister, you may be able to minister to them, but then you may say you need to also go to AA.
Right. While I am here to be of service, I know that I am not proficient in everything. I know that I don't know it all. So yes, I am big on resources. Let me see if I can find you some help.
Yes.
Yes, and I think when you have when you're dealing with a lot of different people, whether they be family, friends, church members, sometimes we find ourselves in spaces where we can be of assistance, but then there are other areas where it's just like this is out of my scope of
Yes.
area of expertise. So I need to refer you
To
to somebody else.
Yes.
Yes.
And then oftentimes, like, if you know you don't have the bandwidth, or you just know that this is not a wise decision, you can say, I would love to support you, Tanya, but I don't have the bandwidth or I can't give you what you need. And I think it's only fair that you have a specialist. I'm more than happy, to help you go through the process to find a therapist, but I feel like it's only fair that the person is available, that they're scheduling appointments, and that they're able to give you what you need during your process.
All right. Thank you so much for that. How does lifestyle impact our mental health? And when I say our lifestyle, outside of work, outside of church, but some of those personal components to our lives, how does that impact our mental health?
Our lifestyle, it impacts a great deal. So for a lot of people, they will do avoidance. So they don't want to deal with their trauma, their childhood, and so they'll just stay busy, and they will avoid it at all costs. Other people have something that's very stressful. So like a police officer or a doctor, where you're coming in contact with people, you're carrying these extra emotions, and you're not having a place to process it. Even as a coach or a therapist, you have to have a way to release what you're bringing in as a minister, because you're ministering, you're encouraging, you're praying for people. But where do you go to take care of yourself?
Okay.
Right? And one of the things that people don't often talk about, we talk about self-care, but what about spiritual care?
Oh my goodness.
Right? What, like when you minister, when you pour it out, when you put the ministry before you, right? And now they're turning on you, or they're not there in your time of need, or just being a servant for years. Like, how do I go back and then just give my spirit man, right, what it needs to heal from the lies, the rumors, the betrayal, and just the hurt, right? And so I think it's very important that we understand our lifestyle. We understand the demand that it has and the impact that it has on our life. And one thing that becomes very dangerous is people will say, well, that's just who he is, right? And they'll accept the behavior that's not normal as normal behavior. And so you have to know yourself. You have to know when you're at your limit.
Knowing oneself.
Oneself.
Self knowledge. Okay. Very important. And I think sometimes we think we know who we are until we have had to spend time with ourselves.
We think we know who we are until we lose what it was that made us who we are.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
Like, okay, I'm a minister, but what happens when the church sits me down? Right? I'm a pastor, but what happens when I lose the church? I'm a wife, but what happens when the husband leaves me? Right? I'm a mother, but what happens when I bury my only child? Right? I'm the president of Bank of America, but what happens when they lay me off? Right? So when all the titles and all the position, all that materialistic stuff gone, who are you?
Right.
Right?
When it's just you. When it's just you and God. Who are you? That's powerful. Do you have any last words for us, Sister Latonya?
I just want to encourage everybody to know that, mental illness, mental health is real. It's nothing to be ashamed of. When I first went through my episode, I was embarrassed because of the stigma. So I told my parents I was off work due to stress. And I hid it, right? I didn't understand it. But it caused me to slow down, to listen to my body. And I believe that it saved my life, because there was so much I had suppressed, so much I hadn't dealt with, so many things I was running from. And I had become this person who I wasn't born to be. And so I often ask people, who did you have to become to survive what you went through? Right?
Right.
And so I was able to go back and have some conversation. I was able to heal. And I almost if you've ever known someone who had cancer, after they've gone through it, they won't say that they're healed. They'll say it's in remission. Remission means that it's laying dormant, but it looks for the opportunity when an organ is weak to show up again and be more aggressive, right? That's the same way with trauma. It lays dormant. And when life happens too fast, too quick, too soon, it shows up. And we're not able to process it. And so avoiding and suppressing things is not healthy, because as life happens, you're going to have to deal with it. And avoiding it is only going to eliminate the options and the choices you would have had.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming out tonight. This has been a wonderful conversation. I am just, you done sent me home with some nuggets. My wife probably going to be sending you a thank you card. This has been another edition of Christ Talk. We have had a wonderful time here tonight with Sister Tonyua Thompson. She is a mental health advocate, and I hope that there was something that was said that may help you on your mental health journey. And please join us on Saturday, May 4th, right here at St. John, 662 South 52nd Street, from noon to 4. We're going to be having a mind, body, and soul health fair, and we are going to have mental health professionals. We're going to have people taking blood pressure screenings, and we're going to talk about cancer awareness and diabetes awareness, among other things. We're going to have some workout sessions. We're going to have people here showing you different ways to get in nutrition. We're going to have a good time. Bring the family, bring your children. It's going to be something here for everybody. We even have our Black Infant Health department coming from Contra Costa County. We're going to have a good time. We're going to have great information, and we are going to be of service on that day. Join us. And thank you for coming and joining us for this conversation of Christ Talk. Thank you once again. Be bold, be boundless, be blessed.